I'm back. I am back. What the fuck have I gotten back into? The world's at war. Can't really do much about that. There's a World Cup going on, but even that is mired in controversy. And the sentiment kind of feels like dread all around the world. However, I think I have found the perfect antidote to all of it. So recently, I started watching Australian sitcoms, and I remember feeling like there was a weird sense of patriotism that was coursing through my veins. All of a sudden, I just realized that I kind of felt like watching some very Australian-made productions. The problem is, Australians don't necessarily think that highly of content that comes from Australia. Week after week, Australian networks will absolutely bombard you with idiot after idiot with no sense of self-awareness whatsoever. At the same time, there are some absolutely pure nuggets of gold that are hidden within Australian television. You just need to know where to look. I'm going to tell you what to look out for and also give you the reasons why they will help you get out of your funk. Number one qualifier is that they need to be filmed in Melbourne. I don't know what it is. Look, I'm from Sydney, but I don't know what it is about people from Melbourne, but they just know how to make good shit. They call themselves the cultural capital of the country, and I fucking believe it, because a lot of the comedy shows that come out are generally from Melbourne, and they're really fucking good. Second caveat, they need to be made in the 2010s. Now, I know that there were a whole bunch of TV shows predating this era that were really good. And number three, they should have been featured on the ABC. So now that you know what I'm talking about, now it's time to tell you why. Okay? And there's three really crucial reasons as to why Australian TV shows are exactly what you need to get you out of your funk. The number one reason is Australian characters are aggressively normal. What do I mean by that? They have real life problems, they deal with real bullshit jobs all the doodah day. Alright, one of my favorite TV shows is Fists, and it's about a lawyer who specializes in probate law and wills. Unlike a lot of American TV shows, The Office is kind of an exception to this, but even then, the characters are a little bit out of whack. The situation itself is so fucking boring and mundane, and there's nothing out of whack that happens. I just want to put that out there. The second reason why they'll help you get over the doom is that the plot is usually like a shitty slice of life anime. Now listen, we all like a little shitty slice of life anime. Crappy filming on location, they've got you covered. Ugly as fuck characters, they've got you covered. Romantic subplots that go nowhere, they kind of got you covered. There is nothing like an Australian TV show to make you realize that, oh yeah, like 90% of life is absolutely boring, and it's just that 10% of life that gets amplified online that feels like shit, and that puts me into a depressive state. Hey listen, by the way, going back to my first reason about the characters feeling grounded, I do want to put it out that there are several TV shows where you did have characters that were played as absolute caricatures. Both of the TV shows that I'm thinking of, they were set in Sydney. Housos and Jonah from Tonga. There's something about Sydney where we just fucking love stereotypes. I don't know what it is. It might be the fact that we're so completely geographically isolated. And this might be something that I want to talk about in a future video. But for now, just know that's why I've said exclusively Melbourne TV shows. Reason number three, self-awareness goes a long way. A lot of the time it feels like there are creative ways in which media tries to lie to us. And look, Australian media is not immune to that. However, I will say this about Australian writers. They are ridiculously self-aware. We know that we are not the main character in any situation. What do I mean by that? Well, we don't really take things too seriously. One of my favorite shows on TV is Utopia. It goes through the very mundane and bureaucratic process of being a development authority in Australia. And poking fun of people taking things too seriously is very much an Australian cultural artifact. Why do I say this? Because cultural cringe and tall poppy syndrome are like the 1-2 punch of Australian identity, alright? Firstly, we have this sense of inadequacy, being the bastard child of the UK. And then secondly, we also have this sense that we don't want to stand out too much above our peers for fear of judgment. But okay, now I've given you the reasons why you need to watch. Now I'm going to tell you what you need to watch. I've dropped a couple of show names in there already, but I'm going to try and match some shows to the type of person you are. If you feel like your life's hit rock bottom and your career's going nowhere, and you're really in search for something that'll make you feel a little bit better about your life, might I suggest Fisk, okay? The show is absolutely fantastic. Kitty Flanagan plays this really daggy lawyer who's just been divorced, and then she moves to Sydney and, like I said, works at a fucking probate and wills law firm. The most depressing part, she comes from a really rich, privileged background, but even then her life kind of fucking sucks. If you feel like your life's going nowhere, that's definitely a show for you. Are you sick of endless meetings? Are you sick of jargon being thrown left, right, and center? Are you sick of marketing spin and HR? Then may I suggest Utopia. This has to be one of my favorite shows that goes through office dynamics. That is the show for you. If you're getting really frustrated at work, and doesn't matter where in the globe you are, you have experienced an office place like this. Are you an international student who's kind of sick of all the media attention you're getting at the moment? Or do you just have a lot of rage in your soul naturally as a person? May I suggest Ronnie Cheng, International Student. The plot definitely speaks more to being an international student and the cultural differences that you need to traverse to get through it, but the character of Ronnie Cheng, if you're like me, you get angry and have arguments with people on public transport all in your head, this is the perfect character for you. And yes, this is Ronnie Cheng from The Daily Show. Before he got really famous in America, he studied in Melbourne. Therefore, it's from Melbourne, and the university that they filmed it at was the University of Melbourne. It counts. If you're really passionate about class consciousness, and you feel like you need something to help express that and try and bring the two classes together, may I suggest Upper Middle Bogan. There is nothing more heartwarming than this TV show. I strongly suggest that you watch it. I absolutely love it. It is actually one of my go-to shows over Christmas. Don't ask me why. I think there's only 1 or 2 Christmas episodes, but that is my go-to over Christmas. And finally, if you're someone who still insists on doom scrolling, after all the evidence pointing against it, may I suggest No Activity. As the name suggests, literally fuck all happens in this show. You can have it in the background and do absolutely whatever the fuck you want, and you don't actually miss out on anything. I know they made a remake in the States, but the Australian version's better. That's just my opinion. No, it's not. That's just a fact. So to conclude, yes, Australian TV shows have low budgets. They don't have the far-reaching media attention as American and British shows. However, they will really help you get over the depressive state of the world right now. However, if you feel like grounded storytelling is not necessarily what you're after and you need to be taken completely out of reality, may I suggest watching some Bollywood. And if you don't know where to start with this video over here. Bye.